I'm doing the reading today from 2 Timothy 2:2. And the things you have heard me say in the presence of many witnesses, entrust to reliable people who will be qualified to teach others. This is the word of the Lord.
Amen. Amen. Sorry about that. I was just overcome for a moment. When I was 14 years old, I was an athlete. I know it's hard for you to imagine looking at me now, but when I was 14 years old, I used to be really good at track and field stuff. So I was a shot putter and a discus thrower. And I wasn't the fastest in our year, but I was quite muscly. And so they put me in the 4x100 relay. And this was a real honor for me because only the cool kids were the sprinters in our year. And I definitely wasn't in that category, but somehow managed to squeeze in to the 4th place on the 4x100 meter relay. And so I remember there was one occasion when our school was going up against the other schools in Corby. Now this was a big deal because there was Pope John, there was Kingswood, there was Beanfield, and there was Lodge Park. I was Lodge Park. And oh, yeah. And I remember on the day itself, I had won the shot put competition, I know. And then one of the final events was the 4x100 relay. And so we were all lined up, and I was looking across, and there was the guy from Beanfield who was always faster than me. And we'd raced him a few times, and I was thinking, oh, today is going to be my day. And so we lined up, we all held our baton. And I was in the 3rd leg because, that was a little bit easier than the final leg. They put the fastest person on the final leg. And we lined up, and I had my Lodge Park vest on, and the Lodge Park kids were in the stands, and they were cheering. And I was like, this is so exciting. And I psyched myself up, and I got down into my position ready to be past the baton. And the gun went, the first person sprinted. He did really well, and he just went out the blocks really fast and managed to pass on the baton to the second person. The second person came to me, handed it over. I took it within the space I was allowed to, and I just ran as fast as I could, and I was so fast. You wouldn't believe how fast I was that day. I was just, I think it was adrenaline, and it was like hours of training in front of neighbors, and I was so fast. And when I got to the 4th guy, I handed it over, and it was a clean handover, and he began to run. And I watched him as he went around the track, this final leg. He was like neck and neck with the guy from Beanfield, and just round the corner, he stopped. He pulled up, and he went and he sat on the grass. And I thought, oh my goodness, he must have pulled his hamstring or something. So I ran over to him and said, what's the matter? What's going on? And he said, I just don't feel like running today. That's a true story. I said, what do you mean you don't feel like running? All of us have been like preparing for this for ages. We've practiced in our PE lessons, and we're here in front of everybody, and you don't feel like running today. So he didn't make it to the Olympics team. Neither did I. Who said that? Come on. Who said that? I can't believe that. Yeah, you don't get heckling on live stream is what he said. But there are so many verses in the Bible about running the race, aren't there? Let me just read to you one. So if you have a Bible, I wonder if you could open it up to Hebrews. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1, and it says, let us run with perseverance the race that is marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus. Let us run the race. And so the writer to the Hebrews is inviting those who are followers of Jesus not to give up when we don't feel like running today, but to persevere and to fix our eyes on Jesus. In 2 Timothy 4 verse 7 it says, this is the Apostle Paul speaking about his own life. There've been things that he's faced. He's faced persecution. He's been imprisoned. He's been almost stoned to death. He's been in shipwrecks. He's been misunderstood and spoken about, and his apostleship's been questioned. And he says at the end of his life, I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. The Apostle Paul ran the race and was able to say when he got to the end, I have finished. And Galatians 5 verse 7, when the Apostle Paul is speaking to some Christians who really have gone off course, he says, you were running a good race. Who cut in on you to keep you from obeying the truth? And as Christians, we're called to be runners. And this isn't just a sprint. It's not just for a few meters. It's a marathon right until the moment we draw our last breath and look into the face of Jesus and get to spend all of eternity with him. But we will face things that cause us at times to want to stop, to want to sit down on the grass and say, I don't feel like running today. I want to quit. And the verse that Faye read to us, and I'm going to be really quick this morning, the verse that Faye read to us is the Apostle Paul, a seasoned pastor, speaking to his son in the faith, a younger guy, maybe just starting out, fresh out the blocks, or has been in ministry only a few years. And he says to him, Timothy, you're like a son, and I want you to be strong in the grace that you have in Christ Jesus. The things that you've heard me say to you in the presence of many witnesses, this hasn't been in private, this is what I've spent my whole life doing, but what you've heard me pass on to you, I want you now to entrust to reliable people. I want you to pass on this baton that I passed on to you. I want you to pass this baton on to somebody else who then, it says, will go on to teach others. Paul, in these few sentences, is saying that there are 4 generations in view. Paul himself, Timothy, those that Timothy will pass the baton on, and ultimately who those people will then pass the baton on. And the thing about Christianity is that we are supposed to be disciples of Jesus, followers of Jesus, who then help other people to live as disciples of Jesus, to pass on the baton of our faith to others. And, I was a little bit emotional just thinking, Aaron's only going to be around for 5 more weeks and all of that. But what I've witnessed in Aaron's life as an example of this is that in my house during the week, Caleb and Sam and Aaron meet together. They have a laugh. They enjoy each other's company. They often play basketball together. But they sit down with their Bibles open in our front room and they learn about Jesus together. And what I want to tell you about Aaron is that 2 years ago, Brendan did that with Aaron. When Aaron was learning to play guitar, Brendan, Faye and Andy's son, would sit down, teach him how to play guitar, and then they would talk about Jesus together. Brendan discipled Aaron. Aaron is now discipling others. And my guess is, because I know what God's like, is that what has been poured into those people will now be poured out into the lives of others. And disciples are making disciples. And I would absolutely love that to become the culture of Hope Church, where disciples of Jesus are making disciples of others. And it's so, lots of us here today, we've been through some stuff, haven't we, in this past year especially. I know some of your stories. God's put me in a position where I get to hear some of the things that are going on in your lives. And I know that this life of faith is not a straightforward thing for many of us. There's anxieties about relationships, there's work pressures, there's financial struggles, there are wayward children, there are health concerns, there are all sorts of things that would take our eyes off Jesus if we allowed them. And then we hear the Apostle Paul's words ringing in our ears. Run the race. Run the race with perseverance, because you're going to need the perseverance. but run the race, and finish well. And as a church, we don't want to just we love singing songs. And it's so good and very kind of them actually to put a dance floor out for us today. Because sometimes we just want to worship the Lord with all of our hearts and sing and praise and dance and wave flags. We love all of that. And we love inspiring messages and we love being together. We love seeing each other. We love the fellowship. But the most important thing about what we do is that we are bringing glory and honor to God and making disciples to fulfill the great commission that Jesus left us. We want to be disciples who make disciples. Disciples who make disciples. Disciple-making disciples. So I'm just going to pray. That's it. That's my message. So I'm going to pray. Aaron, would you come and take this baton?